the trail of gold through almost every one of your cities up the Sword Coast. I guess I'll say at this point, we also were met one of our newer yet no less important members, Clank.
Okay.
Nice.
Yep. So you want me to take over at this point?
I think that's pretty much where you joined.
Okay. So I'll kind of, as graciously as Clink can imagine, like Clink doesn't have negative charisma or anything like that, but Clink will kind of like maybe a little unfamiliar with like the human customs of like this part of the town. Just kind of give like a little bit of a gracious bow and just introduce herself and say like something along the lines of, thank you for honoring me with all of your presence. As Wax mentioned, my name is Clank. I had been captured, so I'll guess I'll start with I had been captured by the Cult of the Dragon outside of Parnast, and they had taken me to the Carnath Roadhouse for the purposes of construction of a tunnel to take some of their wealth from the trail of cities that they had been stealing from to the south, further north to a castle called Castle Neritar. At the time, I had been so I had been captured by the Cult of the Dragon and the rest of the group that you see before you outside of GDB01 over there managed to rescue me. We made our way up through Castle Neritar, following the tunnel where most of the gold had been smuggled. And we confirmed that they had been bringing their riches to that location. Outside of Castle Neritar, incidentally, we encountered a dragon, a black dragon called Vorag Manthar, who seemed to be interested in the Cult of the Dragon's proceedings. Inside of Castle Neritar, we managed to see a procession of gold being taken through the castle to a teleportation circle where it was
Clank,
warped
stop.
to...
Can you stop?
Sure.
Can you pause there for 1 second? Whose has the highest passive perception in the party?
I have a 14.
14.
I think that's the highest.
I think I have a 12. I think. Yeah.
All right. So it's Clank.
Sahraus has 14.
Ooh, 14. Okay, so tie. So both of you, when you mention Varagamunthar, you see the lady with silver hair, the tall woman who's sitting, the 11th party of the council. Her eyes definitely like narrow as you say that name. You see she almost cocks her head and her eyes narrow, and you see she has these piercing silver eyes.
Okie doke. Clank would probably just continue along with the story, not wanting to like bring further attention to like anything that any specific party did. But yeah, we saw the cult procession, the Cult of the Dragon, bringing the riches, some of the riches that they had obtained to a teleportation circle located deep inside of the castle Neritar. We managed to activate that circle, not after handling most of the forces that they had holed up in that location, including Lady Resmir's personal bodyguard. I forget what the elf's name is. The one that I got the armor from.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but anyway, and we teleported to the location where I had actually been captured in Parnast.
Yeah, and Laurel, and actually it'll be Daggle. Daggle will say, I've heard of Parnest,
Mhm.
and we heard there was some activity going on there. Please continue on. What happened there in Parnest?
In Parnas, the cult of the dragon had taken over the town. Many of the citizens there had been ejected from the city itself and were taking up residence in a base camp located at the bottom of a mountain about a day's travel away. It seems like there is the final destination for the wealth that they had ultimately been hoarding. There was a giant's castle that they had taken over by dominating the giants that had been located there into agreeing to some blood oath that meant that he had to work with the cult of the dragon. We managed to there in that castle, we managed to slay both the Lady Resmir and Esbara Joss, one of the Red Wizards of Thay.
At that, everybody unanimously, as you talk about killing a Red Wizard of Thay,
That's a pretty good fight.
most of the almost everybody in the meeting is like, again, there's a murmur that comes over everybody of approval, like oh, that's like, what an accomplishment, that's great. Yeah.
There seem to have been 2 Red Wizards at that fortress at some point in time, though the first wizard managed to escape before we had the opportunity to engage them as well. What was the name of the other Red Wizard of Thay? I think we did know it.
1 second.
I don't remember.
My notes are kind of scattered about 2 different computers because I've been traveling.
Wrath Modar, I think? Or
Yeah,
Seven.
that's
I'm not sure who is.
That sounds
hold on.
familiar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing.
Ultimately, with the help of the
Wrath
giant.
Modar, I think, is the Red Wizard.
Okay. Then I would relay that. We
And the council is quiet, quite very quiet. Laurel and Daggle look like they've been whispering to each other a little bit, and they're ready to. They look like they want to.
Wait.
Hear
I have one more thing to add.
hear the last of your explanation. They seem to be pointing over, intimating that they're getting ready for Jalon Velos to step up, and they say, "Yes, heroes of Greenest." Laurel would actually say, "Heroes, if there's anything else you would like to say, we will move into the second phase of the council session. Please state your last opinion."
The cult of the dragon had the service of a white dragon that had been guarding most of the treasure that they had been hoarding. We managed to slay that white dragon. We returned to Waterdeep with the help of the giant who was the head of that castle. And that about summarizes where we have been thus far.
So with that.
The Giants said that they want to be. We agreed to make an effort to be friendly with the Giants.
You'll see.
They-
You'll see. Sahra will kind of start to bristle at that. You'll see kind of like frustration in her forehead.
Yeah, and also I think
This is truly an issue that affects all of us.
Conrad Braun Anvil, the dwarf, would also be not so happy at the mention of that. That you want to maintain a relationship with the Giants. He's definitely you see he also kind of like maybe puts his mug of ale down a little hard on the table, and you kind of notice that as you tell him about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, does Hermanos, did you want to say anything?
I guess I would kind
Well,
of.
I mean, that's fine.
I was just gonna say, I think that pretty well sums it up.
Okay.
I guess
I don't know I don't think GD really has anything to add as far as like knowledge that he would have. It's mostly just you guys, I think.
Is there anything about like, because you're sort of unique. Sorry, out of character, because you're sort of unique.
Yeah, it's
and
true.
nobody's ever seen anything like you. Is there?
I guess
kind of like speak to, or have GD speak to, like, what the fuck are you?
I could do that. I could do that. No one's asked about it yet.
Yeah, no one. They're not. They're not gonna be like, "Hey,
it's
what
unrelated.
the fuck? Hey, what the fuck are you right now?" You know, in the middle of the meeting.
Exactly.
Like that could happen later. If
yeah,
you
it's
want, if there's something that you want to say, you could definitely say whatever it is. I mean, you've been with the party for a decent amount of time. If there's nothing you want to say, it's also fine.
Or wait, did anyone mention that they were using me as a power source?
I should have during the Castle Narratar.
Well,
no, and the frogs weren't mentioned as well.
Right, and so maybe that's what GD. Maybe that's GD's perspective. Is he's like, I don't know, whatever he wants to say.
Sure.
Yeah. I guess I'll add.
When I was in the Castle Narratar, while I was in hibernation, there were these frog people who were using me as a power source to bring these evil frogs from another dimension. I don't understand what they were doing.
Clank will kind
But
of
they were
bristle at this.
using me as that power source. I greatly regret that.
Good boy. You would see Terran Hornblade, the wizard. He's a older man, all gray hair, long robes. Kind of Terran. Taern. Sorry, Taern. Taern. Taern Hornblade. Taern Hornblade is like stroking his chin as you start, describe the Slades a little bit. He's looking like, interesting, and like has a very kind of like wizardy, scholarly look to him.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's all. That's all he's gonna say.
I guess Clank would kind of finish by saying, it seems like the Cult of Dragon has been gathering forces from a variety of different sources. We've seen bullywugs, we've seen lizard folk, we've seen various humanoid species, elves, dwarves, wizards, fae. We believe that we've dealt them a great blow by stopping them at Parnas, but we believe that this is probably far from over. We still do not know what Vorag Manthar wanted with the Cult of the Dragon, nor do we know what the other Red Wizard of Thay, Rathmodar, was doing at Parnas, nor do we know where he has gone. And we suspect that they're planning for something much grander in scale, though we cannot necessarily say what.
The Daggalt Neverember would say, well, I suppose then, once you hear what the next speaker has to say, please think hard about what it could mean in addition to the information you've provided.
Mm-hmm.
We have fine minds here, but I fear that our problem is a lack of information at the current moment.
Mm-hmm.
And Laurel Silverhand will stand up and say, before the next speaker addresses the council, I would say I owe her a personal apology. Had our causes been unified earlier, her tragic loss and the danger we face now may have been more heavily mitigated with the actions of the heroes of Greenest on top. I present to the council Lady Jalonvalos. And the very tall, silver-haired woman rises gracefully. And on her feet, I'm going to move through this a little bit quicker than the first part. She is going to tell you about the death of her husband. Her husband is a lord in the city, one of the masked lords, which means he's a part of the governing body. He was killed, and the cult of the dragon left, traces that it was them. People saw the kinds of creatures that were coming to attack dragon-like. Some of those guard drakes, other things you have seen. And her husband was killed. And that is kind of the reason for the increased security around the city. And it's kind of, she presents it to the council like, do we want to keep this quiet amongst the citizens, or do we want to put this at the forefront to try and use it as like to galvanize the people of the Sword Coast? She presents that issue in that way. And
Is that an inquiry for character input?
Yeah, you guys do have an input. Yes, absolutely. Your word is greatly valued.
So Sahra will kind of stand up and will say, there is very little point in conceding to the cult that they have struck us a blow. We must push forward and do this fighting in the honor of your fallen husband, but we cannot let the cult know or see the fear in our eyes. And as she does that, her eyes kind of flicker from that purple to green and then purple again.
As you're looking at Jalon Velos?
Yes.
She'll look at you and her eyes will flicker to brown and then flicker to green and then flicker back to silver as she's looking back at you. And I would say you're like probably the only one who notices that happens. Like, and she kind of nods. She doesn't say anything else. She nods, and the lords kind of start talking amongst themselves. The ladies start talking amongst themselves.
I believe that I would generally agree with what did you introduce your name by the way?
Okay, so let me swing that back. Hello, thank you for giving me representation on speaking floor. I am Sahra Mualim of Anara. I am the representation from House of Anara of Luthispar Evermeet. Excuse my comment, I learned from Amian priests, and so I am here to contribute to the military efforts on behalf of the Elves of Evermeet. And she would say that before she went into the other stuff.
If that said, King Melandrak and the Emerald Enclave definitely like take notice of you and nod, and you see, they're kind of the only elvish representation in the room, and they didn't know that there was any other elves that were going to be present, but they're definitely interested in talking to you.
And she will kind of, and as she's doing that, she'll kind of say, like in Elvish, and hello to my Elvish friends.
So Clink would kind of pipe in and say I would generally agree with the sentiment that Sahra there stated. I think for the most part, the people who are for whom hearing this news would be important to for the sake of rallying people are gathered here in this hall right now. Also, my condolences to Jalan Falas. However, I would like to ask, do we have any additional information as to why it was that the Cult of the Dragon would attack your husband in particular?
She hesitates for a second, but just for a second, and says, I am a powerful lady in a powerful city. I sit on this council with you, just as we all have things to lose. I am someone with something and people, family to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Sahra will kind of like will kind of give.
Was it Jalamula's husband that died?
Yes.
Yeah. So Sahra will kind of like very quickly again, kind of with a flicker of her eyes, will kind of try to like see if there's any see if she was uncomfortable saying that, like if she's doing anything like betray herself. I'm not trying to read a mind here.
Make an insight check. She's upset. She's not over the death. And you see it weighing heavily on her as you're looking at her.
Oh, how recent was this death, by the way? It was in the last 2 months, presumably, right? Because there was the shift in mood.
Yes, exactly. She would confirm that, tell you it was. She would know like the days. It was 52 days before.
Okay. Well, that situation is somewhat different than some of the activity that we've seen from the Cult of the Dragon up to this point. Thus far, it seems like they've mostly been interested in pillaging. I don't understand why they'd be interested in a political assassination. I think that warrants further investigation, potentially, as to why it is that they would want to perform such an action.
Yeah, and there's like agreement. I think that's met with general agreement as well. Like people are that you did hear Daggolt say your problem is a lack of information. And Jalan Velas will sit back down. And the council, Laurel, will go on and say, this has been over probably already an hour and a half. You've already been meeting and discussing all of this stuff. And obviously there's been maybe a break for 10 minutes or so while everybody has wine or water or something to eat. You come back, you talk some more. Approaching like the end of the second hour of the meeting, Laurel, says that she says, it's time for any unresolved questions to be settled. I look to the council for someone who needs clarification on anything said. And she kind of sweeps her hand across. And I think the only person who would have to ask any questions is let me see 1 second. The representative from the Emerald Enclave, a woman. She would introduce herself, Inara, Inara.
Wait, a woman in Dungeons and Dragons? Are you sure?
We have a couple.
I've never heard of it. It's
never heard of it. We have Laurel. We have her from the Emerald Enclave. Inara, Inara. Hirdan, Hirdan. And then we also have Jalanvalos, JALANVALOSS. She would ask, oh no, you answered that already. You talked about. So let me just look at something right here. I made a mistake. Let me just make sure. Look at this.
Oh, take your time.
Yep, I need to. Yeah, give me a second. Please give me 1 second. Yep.
I read about this thing recently. Fucking genius. Maybe you like this, Fredo. It was a DM that had a series of note cards that are loading screens, and it would kind of have like you would kind of like Knights of the Old Republic. It would explain a mechanic every time it's on a load screen, and so it would say now loading, and it would say like, did you know that half cover is +2 to AC? I thought that was fucking brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's pretty genius actually.
And so you're looking up a monster's stat block, and you're just like, here you go, read this shit.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know you really love homebrew, so while you're filtering through notes.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I was so impressed with that shit.
So what? What this was online or in person?
Yeah, this was like it was like on one of the D&D subreddits, and they posted like my DM will actually put up a loading screen, and that was the loading screen. They'd put that right on the DM screen.
Oh, that's funny.
I thought it was really good. I'm definitely gonna do it.
Yeah, give it a try.
All right. Well,
did you know that plate armor costs 1,500 gold?
I do.
No. It's just I have
That's
a
your load screen.
sister
That's
that
your load
asks me
screen.
about that shit every fucking game session. No lie. And so I just am gonna put it on a loading screen.
Yo, one of my players can afford to buy like 6 plate armors.
They can
A lot
afford
of gold.
All right, I'm done. The council, there's no questions. You've addressed everything that they would have asked you about, and the parties look pretty intent that they understand everything. Laurel and Daggle will ask you all, the 5 of you, to stay behind. If you would speak to the parties who have urgent need of further cult activity from what they think.
Cool.
And you'll leave the giant war room. Obviously, you'll walk into another beautiful room, smaller, more intimate, and wait there. And the first group to come through is the dwarves, led by Conrad. It's about 4 dwarves. There's like 3 behind Conrad as he walks in very proudly.
5 of us are shown into another room.
Yeah.
Sahra would introduce herself to Clank. She would say, "Hello, a strange little metal person. I'm Sahra Mualim."
Clink, artificer. Nice to meet you.
Artificer, what is this?
I work with magic items. This armor in particular, and Clink will just create a little bit of a small boom with her little gauntlet.
And kind of, you see her jump back, and her eye will kind of flicker green for a second, and she will say,
Okay.
"Wow, that is an impressive little noisemaker you have created. It is very impressive for a small dragon metal woman."
You know,
thank you very much.
GD is going to pound on his the chest once, and just to be like,
I am big metal person.
Yes, this is GDBO1.
Is this your elemental?
I kind of think he basically is at this point. Let's be honest here.
This is very fun. From time to time I have done this, but you steal gem from a giant, you smash gem, elemental comes out. How long have you had this gem giant?
Well, we didn't get him from a gem.
Elemental construct.
Yeah, he's a little bit different than that. We found him at Castle Nerutar.
No. You do not. You cannot be construct. You do construct. You go to town. You want to make house. You construct.
He is. Let's see. Okay, so language barrier sort of thing. Clank will just say, he's not an elemental, he's just a metal man.
This is very strange. And he wears no armor.
Yep.
Does he bleed?
I don't think he
I am the armor.
This is strange. You are strange magical metal man. But anyways, it is pleasure to meet you. And she'll turn to Wax and she'll say, in Elvish, "Oh, hello. You're also a half elf. Do I see your ears correctly?"
Yes, and yeah, he'll reply in Elvish with a little bow. Yes, indeed. I'm Big Rex. It's a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, welcome aboard. It's good to have another kindred spirit.
Clank will maybe pull the spell book out and look at a spell in particular.
And she'll kind of say, at the word kindred spirit, she kind of like will wince at that, but she won't say anything about it. And then as soon as she see Clank taking out the book, like her eyes will flicker again, and she'll kind of focus in on that, but she'll just kind of like pleasantly kind of do her nice to meet yous, and yeah, I think she'd also introduce herself to Zermanos. And yeah, it probably would be, you are a very horny red man.
Yep.
You have beautiful crown on your head. What is this?
Clank will probably start casting ritual casting comprehend languages, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure. You could be there concentrating on that.
What is this beautiful golden hat you have on your horns?
Still something I picked up on our travels.
And she'll kind of say, you must travel to many interesting... Oh my god. You must travel to many interesting locations. I am very excited to acquire a round metal hat of my own.
It is quite beautiful. And gold and has like almost like a little pulse to it.
And she'll kind of like run her hand along like a kind of enclosed leather pouch that sits above her dagger, and she'll kind of let her hand come back to rest. Well, it is pleasure to meet you all. And then she'll say in Elvish, and especially you. Have you ever been to the Home Islands?
I must confess, I have not. It is a pilgrimage I have been meaning to make.
And she'll go on until the dwarf comes in about like how great the food is, and how like if you haven't eaten if you haven't eaten a meal in Lotus Bar, you haven't eaten food. It's the best food. Like she'll be obnoxious about it, but she'll be very enthusiastic.
Well, you're really gonna get Wax hooked because he likes a good story, and now he wants some of this. He's gonna ask you a lot about the food.
I'll prepare it for next time.
All right, that sounds
I
good.
mean, it's okay, but yeah.
Anybody else doing anything? Or just waiting for the dwarf to come in? GD, are you just standing observing? Anything to add, or you want me to get on with the asks for these parties?
Yeah, I think so.
The dwarf comes in first. He kind of storms in through the door, very brash, very.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I did want to do something.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I wanted to find this Terran Hornblade person.
Oh,
this wizard person.
Don't worry. Oh, don't worry. You can. You will. You're gonna speak to Terran.
Okay, cool.
But
I want to do it now.
You are, yeah. That's
no,
the
that's okay. Yeah.
They'll be the second. They're the second people. So he's part of the second people. So the dwarf comes in and describes a situation. His wife is
we're in this situation right
from a place called Borsker Bridge. Let me spell that out for you, so that I give it to you correctly.
The situation room.
Borsker Bridge. Borsker. So Bor, Boar, Eskyr. Borsker Bridge. It is by the Serpent Hills. If you look on your Sword Coast map, the Serpent Hills, the dwarf will point it out to you, is right at the southeastern part of the High Moor. So the southeastern part, there's these hills, and there's this famous dark metal bridge, black, very noticeable. It stands out. It's where his wife is from. It's a famous dwarf settlement, a famous trading settlement for hill dwarves who come from the Serpent Hills mostly, but over time have occupied more of the lowlands as well. And this is a famous trading post along the river. His wife received a letter from someone in the settlement, and they were raided, and many people were taken from the town, dwarves. He indicates upward of 10 people were kidnapped from his wife's family, various members of the clan, ranging in how related they are to her. He would say that there are tales of a Yuan Ti wearing an ornate mask.
And that
kind
of bristle at the mention of people being kidnapped by the cult.
Mm-hmm. And a Yuan Ti with an ornate mask, it said, led a raid on the bridge settlement, Borsker Bridge.
Wait, like
and,
Shadow Legends? Try it today for free?
Yes. And then they were taken from, upwards of 10 people were taken. Obviously, he would express that it is a situation that involves going quickly, or he's not sure what's going to happen to the members of his wife's family. But his honor kind of compels him to at least, not at least, to definitely try and find every solution he can to get the problem settled. And he's coming to you all asking for help.
Time is definitely of the essence when it comes to matters like this. Do you know where they might have been taken?
He would tell you no, but that there are people who survived the raid and maybe eyewitnesses that you could locate. Also,
said
if you have
down towards the Serpent Hills.
Yeah, and also if you could find he knows maybe if you could find someone who's really familiar with the area, that they could if he indicates that like the yuan tea in the area has been a problem, but never like raiding Borsker Ridge problem. Kind of exactly like what you hear is like the cult's archetype, right? Like they come into the area, they make friends, they negotiate a deal with like some local power structure that's already there, and they kind of try and supplant that with what they want. And sounds like one of these raiding tactics, except this one was very successful. It wasn't a flat out killing of the people, though, right? So it was more of like a Greenest situation where they came in, they stole. In this situation, they took a lot of the clan members of his wife.
So, Sahra will kind of say, what, for what reason is your wife's clan desired by gold-hungry dragon slaves?
They're a very rich family, and I think either they're going to take. He thinks they're either going to take them for ransom, or he kind of would nervously hope, say something in a lower voice, like he hopes there's not some more nefarious intent behind it, but he thinks it's just for ransom. Like they're a very rich family. He's the leader of one of the most powerful mountain dwarf clans in the Sword Coast. So he himself, is also a very powerful person. It seems like, the cult is kind of trying to constrict their grasp on things a little bit.
Constrict Yuan Ti. Boo.
And then she'll say, they have yet to contact you to attempt to acquire this money.
Well, he'd say that his attention, he's been traveling here, and that his attention, he's from the Grey Peak Mountains, the northern part of the Grey Peak Mountains, and to get out of the dwarven stronghold that he is from, Mithril Hall, you have to like travel in dwarven tunnels for like a long time, then come up out. So he's been traveling to Waterdeep. He hasn't had like magical transportation, and so he hasn't. No, they haven't received an offer them personally, but they haven't been anywhere near the Serpent Hills. His wife, upon their marriage, moves to Mithril Hall. So she's not in the Serpent Hills either, and she's exchanged communications, but they're not. They don't seem like they're like outwardly magical. They're like tough barbarians and fighters and dwarves, and but these two are not outwardly magical like some of the other people in the meeting. They're just dwarves, rich, powerful dwarves, but just dwarves. And so they're, that's their, that's their spiel. Anything, you can ask whatever you'd like to before we move on.
Can I make some sort of checks to see if there's like any association between Yuan Ti and Slod in particular? Because I think Clank would be kind of having her mind go there straight away.
Sure. You can roll Arcana.
Okay.
21. Yeah. No, there's not a direct correlation at all. Yuan Ti can be nasty customers. They're magical. They come in various forms. You've encountered some of their forms, some of their maybe weaker forms. Yeah, and you know that they're quite magical creatures, but they have no direct contact to Slads.
Clank would kind of be saying that we've encountered Yuan Ti before, but it seems like they haven't really had any direct association with the cult. It's an additional development if they have another race of Faerun working for them. Another of the reptilian races of Faerun working for them now.
Wax wants to pull Zermanos aside and see if he remembers this Awanti as one of the mask wearers that he saw. Or
But do we
there's
know about
something.
the wax? I thought-
Zermanos would know that if he
I
wants
thought
to
he,
share.
I thought he
I would
told
know
us.
that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
If
you want,
he's one of them.
oh, you would.
I think he
absolutely
only
know
told
that.
us though. He didn't
Oh.
tell everybody. Like it was only.
You
Yeah.
you would
The
know.
party.
Yeah. The
That's why I want to take him aside.
one
and
of
be
the
like,
figures. Yeah, one of the figures that you saw Zermanos in this kind of weird vision entering like whatever this magical space you were in. One of them was a Yuan Ti, and had a white mask, and they were obviously Yuan Ti. Not like the humanoids that you saw that were just snake faced. These were like big snake things. Like
Okay.
he was like a gigantic like snake. It had arms, but otherwise much closer to a snake than a humanoid.
Did the dwarf say what color the mask was?
Yeah, Zermanos would know it was white.
no.
Okay.
Clank said, "Did the dwarf say what?" No, the color.
Yeah.
No, the dwarf does not know the color. The rumors have just been of this large
Wearing a
Yuan Ti wearing an ornate mask, like a very
Okay.
fancy mask.
I mean, it seems like
I
we're
would
onto something.
respond to Wax. It certainly could be.
Yeah. Okay.
One of them was a.
Very interesting. Okay.
Sarah will kind of like agree, will say in Elvish, like, yeah, absolutely, to Big Wax.
Well, does Sara know about the 5 masks at this point? I wouldn't.
No. Just trying to fit
And
in.
fair enough. Grisabeth's still with us, by the way, or has Grisabeth like
She's
fucked off
gone.
or-
Grisabeth's
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
She's going to
Sardinians.
Green Nest, I'm guessing.
She debriefed with them and left.
Okay, cool.
Took all our
Sorry.
rubies.
Sorry, Revolution.
So
All
yeah,
right.
I think your cause could be
Queen is
amenable
out there
to
doing
us,
economic
good lord.
development in the underprivileged areas
It
of
seems
Greenest.
like
He's
Perhaps.
really stressing that time is of the essence, and that even like he doesn't have anything more to say to you. He's like, please make your decision, and if you can, let me know as soon as possible.
yes, thank you. We must respectfully see all of our visitors, but absolutely we will get back to you as soon as we can.
So next, comes in Jalanvalos
Okay.
and Tarn Hornblade.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going?
They start off. Well, Tarn starts off by asking you, did you feel the strange feeling in the air earlier? The whole city felt it. I know you did too.
Yeah, we'll nod. I nod. Brax nods.
Right now.
Yep, nodding
Fine.
as well.
Our lady here has an explanation for what happened, and I pray you hear her out, and then hear what I have to say about the situation as well.
Mhm.
And
Absolutely, old man. I would be happy to hear this recount of your hind-quarter tale.
Proverbially speaking, we are all ears.
the lady, the tall lady,
So I would
Jalan
sit
Valas,
there and be like,
she's imposing. She's like, she's over 6 foot, very tall, very lithe, and she's very regal looking as well. And with her silver eyes and silver hair, she sticks out a little bit. And she tells you that She believes that that feeling, what happened, is an ancient artifact, ancient dragon artifact called the Drackhorn. Draakhorn. Drackhorn. And she thinks it was trying to alert dragonkind to a message.
Would I have any idea as to what that message is? Speaking Draconic, or
You are Draconic, but are not a dragon.
okay, yep, fair enough. Would Zermanus have any ideas having the mask, or?
Well,
If it's
we're
only
gonna have
dragons,
to
then it's
let-
only dragons. That's cool.
Well, we're going to have to let people play themselves. So
Yep.
if he's going to ask about that, that's one thing. But you asking on his behalf about that is not going to work.
So
Okay.
so this is Jalan Velas' husband
I mean, can I?
had okay. So wait, just real quick. Jalan Velas' husband had a lead on the dragon horn or possessed the dragon horn?
Well, right. So she would go on and say that he had the lead on the foremost expert on the horn. The foremost expert of the horn
The foremost
comes
expert on
from
the horn.
where Terran Hornblade
Whoa.
is from. North of Faerun, there is a city called Luskin, and in Luskin, the person who is said to be the expert on the Drackhorn lives right north of Neverwinter. If you're looking at your map,
Okay.
that's the last place they were seen. It's near the Icewind Dale, and
I know
this
that.
person's name is. Give me a second. I should have had that ready. It's on a different page. Give me 1 second. Let me look.
Mostly been in Mustika
here it is.
and the island range in the south of Toro. I think it's Kavada, something like that.
Macath, Maccath, Macath the Crimson. He is a member of an organization called the Arcane Brotherhood. The Arcane Terran Hornblade, would tell you about different issues he's been having with the Arcane Brotherhood. They're kind of coming into conflict with the magical rules of his city. And this person is supposed to be the foremost expert on this artifact. And they suggest if you want to find out more about the horn, that you go to Luskin. And look for Macath, Maccath, Macath the Crimson, as in the color. And then lastly, the elves will come in. The woman, Anala, the leader of the Emerald Enclave, and the man, elf. I'm blanking on his name.
The King Menethil?
Marandrek. Marandrak will come in with Inala, the leader of the Emerald Enclave. And their situation is actually,
I know
you
names.
think it's really similar to the dwarves.
I might not have my notes.
But then the more that you listen to the situation, they're telling you about a place called Atlan. Altan. Let me make sure I have it right. Altan.
Okay. It is so hot
Altand.
outside right now.
Altand. And Altand is at the north of the Misty Forest, which is actually on the northwest of the High Moor. So both of these events are happening at the High Moor.
The High Moor. Okay.
2 of them at least, and then 1 all the way in the north. The north of the Misty Forest is Altand, and you're listening to the story about what seems to be disturbing. There's talk of a dragon, and a rider on the dragon attacking a town.
A dragon rider.
And
A dragon
but then you keep
rider.
listening, and the way that the king and the Emerald Enclave are describing it, it wasn't a raid and it wasn't a kidnapping. It was more of a straight up massacre. And there are survivors in Altand, but not many. The town was very much attacked, and not attacked like for the raiding purposes, not purposes of stealing people. They were attacked. People were attacked and murdered in this town.
And where is that on the map? Sorry, I can't.
If you're looking at the High Moor in the middle, it's opposite the Serpent Hills. It's that bunch of woods that's opposite. It doesn't have a name on it. It's where Daggerford and Succomber are. It's the bunch of woods right underneath Daggerford and Succomber on the northwest of the High Moor.
Here?
On the northwest of the. Okay, it's Ardy Forest, or wait, sorry,
above Dragonspear.
Above Dragon.
You're looking too hard. It's so you see the Trollbark.
It's an unmarked forest. Yeah, it's an unmarked forest.
Just to the northeast of that.
Yeah. It's just that they'll point out to you that it's like a inconspicuous forest. Like that's not marked with a name on the map that you have.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this is the Misty Forest.
All right. Do you have?
And they're like, there's and there's lots of settlements, and there's this one settlement that's been destroyed, and they're fearing more. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Clank.
Do you have any reason to suspect that they would attack this particular settlement? They generally don't. We haven't seen them attack things in specific, unless it is that they were trying to accumulate wealth or maybe some sort of artifact that they had.
Is there like a water source or a strategic value to the area? Would they want to be moving in?
They will both deny both things. They'll say there's nothing strategic about the town. It's a tiny little remote town. That the town, from what the king and the Emerald Enclave have heard, is, like a lot of the cities built into the forest are built like up into the trees. So it has like 2 level, like people don't like walk around along the ground. They walk around like in the tops of the trees. And the dragon came down and released a poison breath, and people weren't able to get out of the trees quick enough. There were some people who could get out. They're not sure what the fate of them was, the ones who could get down to the bottom. But that killed a lot of people. There was no specific. It seems random. They don't know why it was this town, and it seemed very brutal and kind of And they would say, if you want to know more, you'll have our safe passage into the Misty Forest, and you can go in and investigate what happened.
So Sahra will kind of say, you'll kind of see her like upon hearing like clear slaughtering of innocents for kind of in this hearing about this brutality, like she'll start kind of like getting frustrated and starting to suspend that dagger above her hand and start to move it around. It's not making any noise, but she's moving it and she's pissed.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's the 3 groups of people. Who you decide to investigate is up to you.
So I think Clank would be inclined to say, probably of the three groups that we've talked to, the one that we're going to be able to help the most readily is the dwarves. If they have members of their group that are kidnapped, we can potentially rescue them, and we can also figure out what's going on with the Yuan Ti potentially tagging on to the Cult of the Dragon.
Yeah, the mask
That's-
is, I think is very, the mask wear is very, oh sorry, Zermanos.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's probably the most likely to be connected with the ritual we're trying to prevent.
Yeah, I think the mask wear is very interesting.
Clink is also like partially inclined for
Yeah,
that because
there was-
of the fact that there's kidnapping of a group of people.
There was
And,
mention of a rider of the dragon
Oh
from the elves as well.
yeah, right.
There was a mention of a rider. It was unknown what race they were, but there was a mention of that. And just like kind of like they also, the elves, just I will say, did intimate that there was like other scary rumors that they've heard, but nothing that they could credit, like nothing that was credible. So they don't mention any specifics, but they're like, like the people of the town are very shaken up, and they've said some disturbing things.
Mhm.
So there's definitely you would think that the elves or the dwarves are the two most urgent situations, and the horn is kind of like, you can definitely pursue that as well if you would like to, but not that you don't know what the time limit on that one is necessarily. It doesn't feel necessarily as urgent as these other groups of people who are like the go find the ancient artifact doesn't feel as urgent as people are kidnapped and people are slaughtered.
Yeah. Clank's sort of motivation or reasoning there would sort of be like, we don't necessarily know if the dragon is going to attack again. This could have been like a random incident, whereas the people who are kidnapped are potentially still alive and still in danger.
All right. So the Misty, oh no, that's the Misty Forest. We want to go to the other place. So I guess we should, if we're all in agreement, we should find the dwarves and part of,
Sahra will kind of say like, I know not a lot about the shape of the Sword Coast, but from what I do understand, the Misty Forest is right in, if we travel on foot or on Griffon back, it is right on the way to the Serpent Hills.
That is true.
We
We
could
could
make our
potentially.
way through and then help solve the snake problem.
Mhm. At the very least, we could potentially investigate and see what's happening along the way. But I fear that time is of the essence if it comes to the kidnapping that's happened in the Serpent Hills.
I mean, aren't both these places like kind of far from us, even on by anything other than magic?
Technically, it's a
Yes.
7 o'clock minimum.
If you're riding a horse in a group together, it won't be that long. If you are, so like you're in Waterdeep to get to the north part of the Misty Forest, it's not that far. It's on horseback. You'd be there in like 3.5 days, maybe 4.
Okay.
Depending on how good a time you make on horseback to the north of the Misty Forest. To the Serpent Hills is a different story. It's on the other side of the High Moor. You can try and cross the High Moor if you would like to. If you don't want to cross the High Moor, you would have to go around it, the tradeway all the way down to Borskir Bridge, and you would cross the water, and then you would be at the base of the Serpent Hills.
Okie doke.
So
Cool.
that would take more like 3 weeks. 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, 3 weeks. That's maybe a little bit less if you make good time. Less than 3 weeks.
That's if we go the long way around.
If you go the long way around, if you don't go through the High Moor to the Serpent Hills.
Okay.
If you go through the High Moor, it's much more direct, but you're going to end up at the place where the High Moor meets the Serpent Hills, and it's not necessarily the nicest landscape there. It's large peaks that you could try and scale if you want to plan for that. But that would be something that the dwarves would tell in the update about what's going on there. The Serpent Hills is manageable scaling as if you're approaching from south to north. If you're trying to approach from like the High Moor and go through the hills, it's high, like plateaus that you can't.
Sounds kind of fun.
That you can't get up unless you have magic to fly or items or whatever you would like. Climbing gear, what have you. You could definitely try that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be. You could do that. That the High Moor. Anyone who is from the Sword Coast would know that the High Moor is an area overrun by monsters, and that staying in it and being in it for multiple days is bad news.
You say bad news, I say free XP. No.
Yeah, we're like
This
strong. Like what?
We're
Like,
not playing Milestone. Our characters know what Milestone is.
Yeah.
Time to grind some trolls. Can we head down to the troll hills and sound some horns?
Yeah, you could.
Alright, so let's just ignore the rest of the stuff. Let's buy some corn and let's go down to the troll hills and just farm.
Someone
great.
has one. Someone has one.
I melted it, remember? But
you
anyways,
melted it? All right.
The one thing. Oh, sorry.
To make something.
Two, Sahra will say, I am looking forward to making a contribution to the party in whatever sense that I can. But the plight of the elves in the Misty Forest speaks most strongly to me. However, I will gladly aid the heroes of the aforementioned heroes of Greenest.
Clink is maybe a little bit like, I guess I'm a hero of Greenest. Never been there, but I guess I'm a hero of Greenest. The one thing I will say in character is that the dwarfs seem like they weren't necessarily thrilled with our agreement with the giants.
But is this not both are just because have you heard the expression that oxidized link in chain requires lubrication?
Oxidized link in chain requires lubrication. I think I know what expression you're talking about.
Yes, so if you have chainmail armor, you have rusty link, and if you do not clean, you do not treat, you go, a giant's axe comes down and hits you in shoulder. You don't have a shoulder anymore. This is what I am saying. So if we are to protect our armor, we must lubricate squeaky link.
I have no idea what she's saying. What's going on?
I think she's saying something along the lines of the squeaky wheel gets the grease or something like that. I'm not 100% sure.
And she will kind of point and she say, "Yes, a squeaky wheel gets grease. Yes, that is the saying I was attempting to invoke in my mind."
Okay. Yeah. So I think I'm in favor of the dwarves. Basically, is what I think Clank is.
So 1 and 1. So 1 and 1. That's Clank for the dwarves. That's Sahra for the Misty Forest. Who wants to vote next? We have 5 people. We will not have a tie.
What if we each vote for one thing? I think that makes a decent point that if we're going on the way, there's no reason we can't stop on the way and at least see what's going on in the.
2 for 1 in favor of the Misty Forest.
But it's on the way. And if there's nothing
definitely
going
is.
on, then we keep moving.
Yeah,
But like if there's dragons killing people,
I can get down with that.
we should deal with it.
It's close to Waterdeep.
Yeah, not that bad.
I think like that's also like what the elves. That's kind of the elves' strategy to try and negotiate with the humans here. Is they're like, it's very close to Waterdeep. The dragon could be here any day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with helping these dwarves. Yeah, if we did the other thing on the way, I wouldn't care either way, I think. Yeah.
So is that
That's
good boy
fine.
voting for dwarves? Or
Yeah,
you're
he's pretty much voting for dwarves. Yeah.
okay? So we're 2-2. Germanos, tiebreaker. Let's go. What do you want to do? Oh, you said Misty Forest already, didn't you? It makes sense to go on the way. Is that your vote? We head into the Misty Forest.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a split decision. You're in disagreement about where to go and which way to tackle the cults. What seems to be, I don't know, expanding influence or tightening of their influence. And it is up to you. When do you want to leave? You can leave if you think you want to stop and get supplied up in any sort of additional way. You can do so. I'd like to not spend too much time on that if we don't have to.
I just buy regular plate armor.
Well, plate. Yeah. There's. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Waterdeep, big
Yeah.
city should have
Big
a
city.
plate vendor.
It'll be there. There'll be at least. Yeah. There'll be a. It's like 1,400 gold, I believe.
I think it's 1,500.
1,500?
Unless you want to randomize, but yeah,
No, yeah, it's the base price is whatever the base price says it is. You can take it for, just subtract it, add it to your sheet. That's going to put you at disadvantage on your strength checks. On your stealth checks. So if you would just mark that off on your sheet on your skills tab, that would be good. So that will automate your rolls.
I'm probably going to swap between the plate armor and the mithril splint armor, so I will make sure that when I have one equipped, I roll stealth checks with disadvantage.
Okay. What is that? That's like 10 minutes for you, or an action, or
it is 10 minutes to don a set of armor that is not currently my arcane
magic armor. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yep. No problem.
Sahra will seek out kind of a studded leather armor with mithril studs.
Ooh, with mithril studs.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
Just a +1 studded leather armor, or it could be thicker hide.
You can find +1 studded armor for sure. If that's what you're looking for, it's not.
Looking for, yeah.
Yeah, and you can flavor it as having like there's little mithril studs in it. That's fine, no problems. However much that, yeah.
So studded leather is 45. Typically, to go from regular to mithril, it's an extra 500 gold. Is 545 acceptable for you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So I think also we probably would want to converse with both the elves and the dwarves then, and say, so I think our plan is to stop at this town along the way and do some investigating, and then head down to the Serpent Hills from there and kind of see, in particular, what the dwarves' opinions are in terms of like how it is that they want to handle like traveling together or apart.
The dwarves are gonna travel apart from you because they're gonna go straight to the hills.
Okay.
Can we
And
ask them what the best way is and all that kind of stuff?
and then
How
they're
they're
gonna try and make it back for the next time the council meets. So
Do we know
they
when that is?
are not happy that you are not going to head to the Serpent Hills right away, and they're not going to share any more information with you. In fact, the dwarven contingent after that meeting will quickly pack up their things and are going to make a rapid exit out of Waterdeep.
Oh man,
Okay.
salty.
It is what it is.
All right.
salty dogs.
Meeting with the elves.
I mean, they got kidnapped people to go and try and save.
Yeah, I mean, they're salty is what is your perspective. That's fine. You have a player perspective. That's cool. They're salty. They bustle out of the city. The whole contingency of them, and not just like the 4 that you've seen. It's like a party of like 20 or 25, all of them together, and they quickly exit. And you don't see them again. The elves. You can meet with the elves. They're planning on staying in Waterdeep. They'll let you know. Melandrak will let you know that his son named Alagarthas, 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 is remaining, in the home city. And only the leader of the Emerald Enclave and himself are staying in Waterdeep with a few personal retinue. And they'll help you out as best they can. Is there something specific you needed to ask?
Other than like location of the town, who to speak to.
Oh yeah,
once we get there.
Size and/or color of the dragon, maybe.
Size and color of the dragon.
They already would have given you the location of Altond. It's like in the northwest of like the forest. You have they've given you like a clear path to get there. They tell you to seek out the warden, whose name is Gallon, Galin. The warden of the city, of the town. It's somewhere in between. It's not a town. It's not a city. It's like a hamlet. I don't know. Not a huge place, but not a small place either. And they say Gallon, the warden, is one of the survivors.
Okay.
The person who runs the town, and you can speak to him. They don't have any information about the color of the dragon or the rider. And Wax, if whoever wants to make the persuasion check, they will tell you the rumors, or some of the rumors of what they heard, kind of what they were holding back before.
And so Sahra will assist whoever is kind of doing the insight, and says, you know that you can, so she'll actually say it in Elvish because they're elves. You know that I'm here from Evermeet to help, like elves to elves, like please tell us everything that you can to help us, best help our fellow brethren here. That'll be the way that she aids whoever is gonna do the actual persuasion.
I think you're going to do the persuasion, and you can make it at advantage.
Helping you.
$16. They nod their heads. They agree. And the king reluctantly tells you that some survivors of the town are mentioning like fiendish creatures, creatures that are not from the Sword Coast.
Like slads?
Horrific things. Like, no.
Not slads, but like slads?
Yeah. I mean, like slads, like bullywugs, like yuanti. These are there's survivors that are talking about flaming dogs and women that look like women and then look like horrible creatures. Mm-hmm. And that brings some memories to Wax's mind. But you're not sure whether they mean the same creature, but you know of a creature like that.
Yep.
And then they say that they told you it was a green dragon already. Remember, they said that the poison spray from the dragon killed a lot of the people of Altond, right? Because it's a city that exists mostly in the trees. Okay, so the people who couldn't escape were affected by the poison in the air.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if our characters know green dragon is poison breath, but yeah.
Well, they describe the poison breath. That's one of the things that they definitely describe to you about the attack. And then these mentionings of these fiendish creatures. The woman from the Enclave, also Sahra, would mention to you that there is a member of the Enclave who was staying in Altond after the massacre and was working on an enchanted garland, a garland of flowers and living plants on behalf of the Enclave to try and help what's going on in Altond.
Okay, and she will say, "Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Is that someone that she just would give me a name for, or?"
Yes, Dara, Dayra. Dara Alder Whisper. Alder Whisper. Okay. Dara. And she's the member of the Enclave who is supposedly in Altond. Yeah, and they would say seek her out. She was trying to work on the behalf of the Druids on using the forest to help whatever is going on. And if it's connected with anybody else, use this garland to help stop another attack. You're not sure how that would work exactly, but magic is pretty powerful and you're a pretty magical person. So, it seems like a way to explore through that for sure.
Garland power.
Well.
So the last thing
ever familiar dragon
would ask of them would be to say, kind of snapping a small owl into existence over her shoulder. She'll kind of call it down to her hand and give it a pat. And then she'll say, do you have, are you able to provide us with any kind of fast transport to your city?
Well, the representative of the Enclave would actually say, sort of. She could transport you to the edge of the forest. she's never been to the specific town, but she can transport you to the edge of the forest with transport via plant. But she would say that further help after, unless if this is not completed, it's like kind of this is going to be contingent on you completing this task. Then our a relationship is this is a big deal. If we're going to help you out and I'm going to use this resource to help you get there, you're going to see it through, sort of thing.
Transport via plants? What do you mean by that?
Well, you don't have any druids here with you anymore. Mm-hmm. So she lets you know that she has the power to travel through trees that are large enough.
Okay. How quickly would that get us to this enclave, I guess? I'm not sure.
Well, it'll get you to the forests instantly. As soon as you walk through the tree.
Okay.
So Satha will turn and say, "This seems like the most efficient way for us to arrive to the wooded area."
Agreed. We might even be able to beat the dwarves home. Wouldn't they be surprised?
This
Yeah,
is the
that's
most
true.
desirable outcome.
We should if we plan on going down to the dwarves immediately after, though, we should still plan on hiring some transport as well, some horses, ponies, that sort of thing. Can they?
Yeah. So she'll ask Yanelda. She'll say, "Are you able to provide us with transportation? Are there horses that your families might use?"
They're not giving you horses.
No.
She doesn't have horses for you to borrow. You're asking to borrow horses. You're asking to borrow their horses
in the city. Once we're in the city, is there typically is horses a thing that they have there?
No. Oh, in Altond, no.
Yeah.
No, oh, absolutely. No, oh, I understand. I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question. No, she would be like, no. People are travel through trees, travel on other animals on the ground that are, better in the woods. But horses, not in the misty forest.
What then she'll kind of come back and say, "Are you able?" So kind of with where our understanding of where they are, where the dwarves are they able to teleport to the forest south of the serpent hills so that we might get a closer shot?
No.
Okay.
The forest of worms?
Yeah.
No, she can't. She doesn't know a tree in the forest of worms. She's never been. Yeah.
All right. So maybe we might have to go back to Daggerford and find. So she'll turn to the party and she'll say, "We may have to travel to Chevy Sword to find transport once we are done."
Oh, can we just hire something here? I mean, if they're capable of transporting living creatures, presumably they'd be able to transport a pony as well.
And she'll turn and say in comment, "Are you capable of transporting beast of burden?"
Hold.
She'd say burdensome beast. Burdensome beast.
Any Yeah. Yeah, any creature.
Cool.
So, how much will buying kind of riding horses cost?
Ooh. Ooh.
PHP says like 30 to 75, depending on like the type.
Yeah, so it depends on how fast you want them to be. Fastest, right, around like 100 gold pieces each. These are like you're buying like top quality horses. There's probably only 2 of those in the city, and then the rest, the next quality would be like 75 gold pieces. Those are like the best horses that people usually would have access to, and you can all buy 75 gold piece horses, but you will. So none of you are like land vehicles proficiency is a thing, and none of you are like horseback riders. I don't think so. There is going to be an element of like, can you control your horse? Like, AKA, does your horse listen to you? That sort of thing, because that is a proficiency, and nobody here is a horseback rider. So you can take the horses if you want. There's no problem. You can ride them through the portal.
Yeah, we should do that still.
Yeah.
Lead them through, probably. I would say lead them through is probably more realistic.
Oh,
and
Ours-
2 horses and a wagon? No, because we gotta move quick. Maybe
So-
2 horses and like a stagecoach. So it goes.
yeah, the fastest is definitely going to be individual horses, right?
Okay.
Like individual
Yeah.
horses is definitely the fastest option. You can move quickly. You're not going to move that quietly if you're moving quickly. But the question is what are you going to do with the horses when you go into the forest?
What's a strong
Tie him up in the
horse or
town
GD?
somewhere.
You're going to tie them up? Okay.
In the town. What do you mean? Leave him with one of the peoples.
You're gonna
With the elves.
So the lady can't teleport you to the town directly. She can teleport you to the edge of the Misty Forest. Like,
I mean, there
and
must
it'll
be
be
a
like,
path or some shit.
so you're gonna ride the horses in. Okay. Yeah.
Or walk them, or I don't know, something like that.
Cool.
I mean, they should be trained, like they're riding horses, so like,
All right.
we should be able to just like ride them and like dock them somewhere, and they'll know what's
In the
going
town.
on.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Is it reasonable to assume that a horse may not necessarily be able to carry me?
Yeah. You can. Yeah, it's true. So
How heavy are you?
it's gonna. You're not that heavy. You're like 300 pounds or something like that, which is heavy. But you have to buy a big horse. Yeah, you can buy a big horse for GD. Like you have to buy a 75 gold piece horse for yourself. Basically, you can't buy a 25 gold piece horse. That couldn't carry you. But you spend 75 gold pieces, you're good. The horse you get is extra big. It's like a war horse.
Okay.
It can carry you.
How much gold was that?
75.
25. All right.
Clank will also drop the 75,
Shit,
and
that's
horse will
all
go
up.
into inventory.
Yeah, well, yeah, obviously.
So just make sure you subtract for all of your purchases and everything that you've done. And yeah, they ask when you want to leave.
Let's go.
I
Yeah.
guess forthwith.
Fort what? Yes, this with Fort, as said, small metal lady.
All right. So you do have to go outside of the town a little bit, and find an area that hasn't been cleared out. It doesn't take very long. It takes you maybe you walk a mile or so, and you find the largest tree in the area. And she turns to everybody and says, "Okay, you'll have 6 seconds. Be ready."
Okie doke.
Yep. He's gonna be on his horse. He'll be ready to ride in.
Off we go into the woods.
Yeah, you you would lead the horses through. It's not that big of an opening. You have to kind of like all hustle them through. It's a tight fit, and the 5 of you come out on the other side of a forest. And this forest is familiar to some of you. you've been here. Well, in the area. You never stopped in this forest. You never thought anything of it, other than it being another large forest that you walked by. And there's a lot of them on the Sword Coast. But you turn around and you look, and the trees are gigantic. And there is a noticeable kind of mist that comes out of the forest.
Hence the misty forest.
Yes. And it's like it doesn't.
So don't we have elves with us?
No, they're staying in Waterdeep.
Everybody?
Yep, the portal closes, and it's the 5 of you at the edge of the forest.
All right, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
And they've told you how to get into the forest to the town. Like, they've given you directions. They say, she says, near the forest that she's gonna, or the tree that she's gonna put you at, there's a path, and you follow the path until it turns south. And then once you turn south on that path, it's like less than an hour's travel. It's a total of 4-5 hours into the forest, and it's kind of slow going. Your vision is definitely obscured in the forest. When you're outside, you can't see very far into this mist. But besides that, it's harmless, and you can make your way through it, kind of keeping your eyes on the path, on the ground, knowing where you're going at this point, and follow this mist. No, it's not. It doesn't. Well, you can't tell. I mean, I'd say you can make an Arcana check, Zermenos, but it doesn't seem magical at your first glance. It just looks like it's thick mist that's obscuring your vision. Yeah. I mean, it's like, if you've ever been in like a sudden fog where you can't see very far in front of you, it's something similar.
Can I ritual cast detect magic?
Yes, you can.
Cool. So I do that. Is the mist magical based on like this, or
there is a faint magic to it? Yes, like a very like not the presence of anything super magical, but just an aura of magic. Yes, the forest does have its own kind of natural magic to it. Yeah.
Okie doke.
And you would think that there's probably magical creatures in here, besides elves.
Yeah. That sounds about right. I'll just kind of relay that there's a general sense of magic here, though nothing in particular.
And you can continue following this pathway to Altond, and you come to it seems like a deserted village. It's really quiet. It's above you in the trees. You come to the bottom of the base of trees where you've been indicated, and you see that there's evidence of a lift, but it looks like it's at the top and not at the bottom currently.
Okay. So we don't have. So this is the place that was destroyed, or is this a place that was? Sorry, I'm a little bit confused here.
Yeah.
Altond is up in the trees. So.
Right. Was it the place in the trees that was attacked, or was it?
Yeah. Oh, yes. It's the place that was attacked by the dragon, where lots of people were killed. The breath of the green dragon doesn't do destruction to a town the same way that like fire would. It's very lethal, but in some ways it causes less damage to the town overall. Okay. The death toll of the people here, though, was told to you was very high.
So you said that there's a lift at the top, basically?
Yeah, and there's like a rope that leads up to the top, like a lift system, and there's like a series of ropes that look like it leads up to the top, and You can pull the lift down. If you want to pull on the rope, you can climb up. You can fly up if any of you can fly. But it is a town that's in the trees.
Mm.
Yeah, let's take the lift. Or well, actually, I think I'll take the lift.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do we think there might be something residual here? Should we go in sneaky, or should we go in just fully loaded?
So wait, sorry. We arrived to kind of a lift to go up into the trees.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll kind of turn to the shiny metal woman next to her and say, "Shiny metal woman, are you not good with clocks and gears and wheels and things like this? Is this safe?"
I mean, potentially. I don't know necessarily much about Elvish construction, but especially with the dragon attack that ostensibly occurred here, I think poison breath probably wouldn't affect too much. Like acid would probably corrode, fire and cold could potentially cause some damage. I would imagine it's probably fine, unless maybe if it's like nature based. I don't know. I don't know too much about
Well,
like I said.
let us attempt to climb take this elevator up and see what is waiting for us on the side that is not this one.
Okay. Let's maybe just for safety's sake, can we back up to lower the lift down?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask people to back off, and I'll use mage hands to interact with the pulley to pull the lift down.
Mm-hmm. You can do so.
Yep. Okay. Nothing happens.
The lift comes down. It looks like it's well used, but in great condition, and you can lower it and you can get into it. And everyone can go up. You're a lot of people, and you have a big guy, so maybe it takes you 2 trips, but it's uneventful, and you can lift yourself up there, and it seems like a ghost town. Like you lift yourself up into the tree level. And in the tree level, there's no activity. There's nobody out.
So,
Any corpses or?
No, not at this point that you can see. There's no visible there's no bodies, but there is if you start looking around the town, Clank, you will see signs of death, blood splatters, maybe broken pieces of the structure of the upper level. There's maybe some small places where it seems like some has been smashed off or torn off. There does look like some evidence of scorch marks of some sort. As you're kind of looking around the town, and you would see
Sahra
just from a preliminary glance.
Sahra will take out her kind of tuning dagger and suspend it, and she'll start playing maybe an Elven song she remembers from her childhood, whatever Elvish row 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 your boat is on it.
Okay.
Just kind of whatever that would sound like, to see to kind of with the idea of, if there's anything here, if there's elves here, they would recognize this in her mind and feel. I don't know. That's the intent, is to kind of call people out who might think that we're intruders.
Yeah, I think if you do it for a minute or so, long enough, there would be a couple of people who come out for sure. There is a couple of people, different men and women. It looks like there's a mixture of people who survived. A few older folks, 1 or 2. Some men and women numbering under 8, and then a couple of children. And that's the only people who come out. It's less than 15 people. And they come out, and everyone's you see some people are trembling, and some people are holding kids back, and one man turns around and starts arguing with his wife, and then comes out and says, "I'm Galen, the warden of this city. Who are you?" And he does say it in Elvish. So first,
Sarah will say, "Hello, I'm Sarah Moalima Venara of Luthispar Evermeet. We were sent here by King M. I'll say the name. And we understand that you have that we can see all around that there's destruction. We are here to help remedy that situation. How can we be of assistance?"
he starts to wave people inside. Demeanor changes, drops the defensive part of him drops away very quickly, and you see him kind of looks down at the floor after you say that, and scratches the back of his head, and then turns to the rest of the people and says, everyone, return home. And again, like, kind of touches his chin, strokes his face kind of in like a nervous way, and says, "Please come into my home, please," and offers you into his home. It's a modest home that's not large at all, but it's a couple rooms. One of the bigger ones that you've seen.
I translate that in a common for the non-Elvish speakers.
Right. Yep. And he ushers you in. Yeah. He'll tell you the survivors' tales, what the people of the town say. Unless there's anything specific anybody wanted to ask, you can absolutely ask something if you have a specific question, like before he tells you like what happened when he was here.
I don't think I have anything specific that I wanted to add other than like, yeah, what was basically talked about. We were sent here, They
would just ask after the initial description. They'd ask to kind of meet or get directions to where Daira is staying.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He looks down, like face gets red a little bit, and looks down and says, "I don't know. She hasn't come back in 2 days. Normally, she comes back every night. She's been going out during the day to experiment with her garland, and she usually comes back at night for the past couple of days, but she hasn't been back." And it would continue to tell you about, everything that the survivors say. There was a rider of the dragon people reported in. His race couldn't quite be made out. Some say he looked like a human. Some say his movements were more graceful, like an elf. Some say it was a devil, a fiend.
Interesting.
The Galen is telling you all of this, and he's unscathed, untouched. He doesn't have a bruise on him. And he's telling you all of this very forthrightly, and he doesn't look like he's been through like in terms of his appearance, like his well-being, doesn't look like he's been in such a traumatic event. It doesn't match kind of the destruction of the town that you've seen. Not that the town is super destroyed, but you did see like the people who gathered after you started, playing your song, Sada, were like people were limping, people were bruised, bloodied, as you would expect if a dragon had attacked. Galen seems to be untouched by the attack, but seems very shaken up, like disturbed. After a while, after people had been slaughtered by what some people say is a dragon with a rider, some people say flaming dogs and women. Everybody reports seeing some humans, but the humans did not partake in the slaughter. They stood guard from everything that people say within the town.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. I wanna. Sorry. Go ahead, GD.
Well, I'm just as is he explaining this in Elvish?
I think when he saw Sarah have to translate after the first time, he would have switched to common.
Okay. I rolled an
just so
insight roll.
everyone can understand.
I rolled an insight roll.
Uh-huh.
I'd like to see how I want to see how truthful he is in what he's saying.
Okay, make it. You had a 17.
Yes.
You seem shaken up, and from a dragon, you've fought a dragon. You know it's pretty scary. You're pretty sure it just has to do with being attacked by a dragon, being one of the only survivors. You feel alone by yourself out here, so it's kind of a feeling you could identify with.
Okay. Cool. Yep.
Yep. All right. Do you have any idea as to which direction the Dragon Rider and cult company went after attacking?
Make a persuasion check.
Okay. Boop.
Get a nat 20.
Nat 2.
Can we just add a 0 onto that?
He indicates no, but he does know the direction that the druid went. Dara. He does know the direction that Dara went. Mm-hmm. After the attack, he admits to that he ran inside of his house while people were dying. Mm-hmm. And he says, no, I didn't see which way the dragon went, but Dara was supposedly going less than a day's travel south on the same road you were walking on. So, maybe 2 or 3 hours, south.
Okay.
Okie doke.
So. Yeah.
It's probably getting into the late evening now. Evening.
Yeah, it's definitely the evening. I wouldn't say it's the late evening yet, but it's definitely a night's. It's getting towards the evening for a night's rest. Yeah, for sure. And he welcomes you to stay in the village if you would like to. If you want to stay in his home, that's fine. There are other empty places you could stay as a group of 5 by yourselves if you would like to.
Is there a way that we could stay in the house that Dara used to live in before she left? No can be a no. It could be destroyed.
Yeah, it's not destroyed. He doesn't want to give up hope that she's alive. So he's going to say, no, there are others that are more suitable. Others that we know have no one coming back to them.
And she'll just try, and she'll just ask one more time. Well, maybe there are clues to where she's headed in her home. Maybe we could just go.
Yeah,
poke around?
You can make a persuasion check on that if you're trying to persuade her to get into her house. It's a fair thing to
No.
try for.
Okay.
No,
Fuck yeah, join me in the 2 club.
I rolled a
No.
3.
she seems a
rolled a
little
3.
actually. She seems a little offended actually at the question. Like it seems a little callous to him to be. Like he's really trying to hold on to this piece of hope that she's out there.
So I wanna try and smooth this over, and be like, we share this hope that she's out there, and seriousness of what has happened here does not escape us. It was not earlier today that we met with your king in Waterdeep, and while many parties had pressing matters related to them, we are here to assist you. Help us, help you. We want to find Dara as well. Perhaps she is even paramount into much larger plans. Could you find it in your heart to let us in her house and poke around a little bit?
You can make another persuasion check. It's going to be harder to convince him.
Can I give him advantage?
I'm going to say no, because this is the second attempt to convince him of the same thing. No, he knows what he wants to do. Jesus.
Bard.
He doesn't want to let you in. He's
Okay.
like maybe had you presented it like that at first, yeah, but like he's offended, and he's like no, stop asking me to go into this person's house. They're alive. They're coming back. You'd be trespassing on their property. Please offer the reasonable accommodations that I've offered you. Even for the crit. I know it's a 30, I know it's a crit, but
Some things are not possible.
some things are not possible. He is not like, maybe on the first, had you rolled that on the first one, for sure. Like, yes, absolutely. But on the re-up, like, he's offended. He cares about he knows the person. He cares about the person. He's not going to let you in.
Is he possibly at least just less offended, like understanding why it is that we wanted to get in?
I think so. I think that's would definitely be the effect of it, is that he's not mad. He understands that you want to go in, but he's saying, please, if you can't find her and she never returns, that's, I can understand that reason. But she's been gone, less than 48 hours. Things happen in the Misty Forest. She could come back. She wasn't killed by the dragon.
The first 48 are the most important.
Have there been any
Dun-dun.
before the big event, before the dragon struck? Were there any other odd occurrences in the town?
What an amazing question! I love it. Yes, the warden. I think just he's not offended anymore, and this is kind of we can piggyback this on our nat 20 that it's not going to get you into the house, but the warden does say yes. People in the town have been racked with terrible nightmares. This is going back to before the attack of the dragon.
Nightmares of what?
Horrible things. They say children being slaughtered, children being forced to commit heinous acts and crimes, innocent being corrupted.
Generally pertaining to children?
Yes.
Is there an area of the city where it's worse, or is it just all across the city?
There have only been a few individuals, but it seems to have gotten worse after the the incident. It was less noticeable when the town was more full. But now that there are only a few survivors, it seems 2 or 3 of us are suffering from this affliction. These terrible, horrible nightmares. Horrible. They're horrific things. And he would refer you to the person if you wanted to chit chat to that person as well.
Yeah.
They tell you more. They tell you more of the same.
Okay. And they
I mean,
don't have any, like, has there been a change in, like, water? Has there been a change in food? Like, did something happen before the nightmares started happening? Did anyone who was close to Dara see a shift in her around the time that the nightmares started happening?
Well, the people that you're talking to, no, they don't understand the nightmares on any level. They say they're sudden. That sometimes it happens to them, or sometimes it happens to another person in the town. It's unusual that it's all of them at once. There's a focus on children, but the focus, I would say, on the dreams is more really about the corruption. And children are pure, are a symbol of like purity, and yeah. So there's a feeling of, all the people would tell you, there's this feeling of corruption, of just bringing misery and suffering into the equation.
Okay. So Sahra will kind of try to assuage their feeling of lostness, by saying, like, don't worry, the houses of Evermeet will help make this right.
Well, I do not know what Dara was doing with her time in the Misty Forest, but she's worth going to investigate. If you want to stay,
did she let people see the garland?
This elf knows about the garland. He doesn't know any specifics of it.
Okay.
He knows that that's like what she said she was working on. She told him, I'm going into the forest to work. I'm a druid. Like, I'm going into the forest to work on this piece of magic, this magic garland. And this guy, who, is magical as an elf, a normal elf would be, is just like, yeah, like, sure. Yep. Cool.
Okay. So, and kind of like as a goodbye, she'll say, Coralon's blessings be with you, brother.
He's thanking you and saying, wishing you good luck, and again offers you the chance to stay the night if you would like to, or pursue. You also could pursue on into the forest if you would like to. It's up to you all how you would like to decide. We can decide how you want to proceed, and then we will end our session there for the evening.
Sahra would push to ride into the forest. She's ready to prove her mettle.
I mean, if it's still early evening, we haven't really used any spells or anything like that. We're good to go, I guess.
I guess before we leave, in whichever way that we go, GD is going to kind of put his hand on the shoulder of this person and just say,
Your hope is enough to give us hope that we will find your missing loved one.
and yeah, there it is. That's all he's going to say.
Okey doke.
If you all want to continue on, it's getting later on in the evening now. The sun is in the process of setting. It's like getting late. you can continue on in the forest for sure. The visibility drops at night as well. So whoever would like to be leading the 5 of you into the misty forest as it's getting dark, please make a survival check. As it is not fully dark yet, you don't have to do it at disadvantage, but you're following this trail. You've mentioned that you don't have really specific information about where you're going down this trail.
I'll aid.
Okay, so do it at advantage. So that's a 20. If you want to roll again, you can.
Okay.
30,
I was just
20.
rolling as
20 is pretty good, but you can take your higher one either way. So
Yeah,
20.
I'll take the higher one.
Yeah, that's great. So you managed to stick right to this path going south. The person mentioned that Gallon mentioned that he thought she was 2 hours south. So you travel in the next 2 hours, and it's getting pitch black.
I will, for the sake
Vin
of
Diesel
GD,
vehicle.
I will say, for the sake of GDBO1, use my magical tinkering in order to give him a light on just some object that, like his javelin, maybe, or what weapon does GDBO1 use?
Just give him a little light nose. Rudolph.
Can it be red,
G.D.
please?
Nose so bright.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure. Let's do it.
So you're in
I don't know about that.
So you're gonna be in the pitch black. Your vision was already obscured from the mist. So pitch black and
Put some light
vision
on his mace or something.
obscuring is really, really low visibility. And when these lights go on, it starts to flash these shadows around. And shadows and the lights, it creates like this really weird effect through the fog. And yeah, you can see in your 30-foot perimeter of
it's
30 foot.
not even that. It's a 5-foot radius for bright light and 5 foot for dim light. So
Yeah, and
everybody will see like the light ahead of them, but they won't be able to see anything next to them.
Yeah, it's getting late and it's quite hard to see. You're getting to, you think, towards the place that you were indicated that this person might be at, but its visibility is real low. It's late. Is someone looking for this person? When you think you've gotten to the right place?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, is there any obvious signs like fires or
Broken. Is there anything like along the path, like broken twigs that show like?
Someone make a survival check or a perception check at disadvantage.
I will make
Do I have to at disadvantage if I have 120 feet of dark vision?
It's an obscurement, yeah.
It's an obscurement, so it's not necessarily based on how far your dark vision is. It's just on seeing it. It gives you disadvantage. So whoever wants to roll for it has to roll it. Clank, that's a straight roll for you, right?
Yeah.
So it's 11.
you can roll a D8.
Okay.
I can inspire you. I tried to inspire you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll roll a D8 as well.
Yeah, sure.
16.
Hey, not bad.
Yeah, you think you see like some broken branches leading off into the forest a little ways. You kind of gather everybody over and you point it out and you think you found it. 16, just enough.
So so Sahra will kind of quickly move forward to that area.
Mm-hmm. Quickly.
All right. Yeah, I guess GD
right behind.
Follow. You enter this small. It's not even really. You can't even really describe it as a clearing, but you find this place where this woman is laying on the ground. You're about 40 feet away from her. You have to get even a little bit closer than that, 30, to see kind of the scene very clearly, because your perception is very fogged before that. So you come up right into that 30 feet, and you see this creature standing over the elvish woman.
Okie doke. Doing anything in particular?
What? Say that again.
Doing anything in particular?
Whispering into her ear.
Okay.
And
is the elvish woman?
we'll roll initiative next week.
All right.
Hell yeah! First combat of the campaign, y'all! Let's fucking go!
Yep.
Hell yeah! And with
What is
whatever the
this
fuck
Alright.
that
thing?
is, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Kind of
What
looks
is
like
this thing?
what is that? Is that a night hag?
No! Don't spoil it.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just
All right,
asking
monsters of
questions.
the multiverse here. Come on now. Let's have some
What?
mystery. It's gonna be awesome.